What really happens after we die? 30-minute deep dive into science, NDEs, and spiritual insights. What if death is not a definitive end, but a transition into another form of experience? Imagine the boundary between life and death as more permeable than we usually believe. Modern neuroscience studies have observed intriguing patterns of brain activity during moments of clinical death. In the seconds after the heart stops, some research records transient surges of synchronized gamma wave activity. Survivors of near-death experiences, NDEs, often describe feelings of unity, boundless peace, and encounters with a brilliant light. Neuroscientists note that even as the body's biological processes wind down, these moments of heightened neural coherence might underlie extraordinary subjective experiences. From a neurobiological viewpoint, the final moments can trigger a cascade. Massive neurotransmitter release, altered blood flow, and a temporary overload of neural networks under oxygen deprivation. Some researchers argue this chaotic activity produces vivid memories and sensations, life review phenomena, or visions of intense light, while others propose it hints at consciousness operating beyond usual brain functions, at least briefly. Although science has not proven consciousness persists indefinitely after bodily death, these findings expand our understanding of how the brain behaves at its limits and encourage further research into the mind-brain relationship. Importantly, individuals reporting NDEs rarely describe terror or void. Instead, they speak of profound calm, clarity, and a sense of merging with something greater than personal identity. Even if these accounts result from neural processes under extreme stress, the consistent themes across many reports raise questions about the nature of subjective awareness. Researchers emphasize caution. While biological explanations may account for many features, they do not fully explain why experiences often feel more real than ordinary life, or why some details align with external observations. In any case, acknowledging these scientific observations helps us move beyond simplistic fear of death and consider that the threshold experience may reveal aspects of consciousness worth exploring. Stories from people who have returned from the brink fascinate and challenge our assumptions. Many describe moving through a tunnel toward radiant light, feeling both awe and inexplicable safety. A common element is the life review, a rapid yet emotionally rich replay of past events, not as detached recollection, but as reliving lessons, connections, and consequences. For instance, one patient who was clinically dead for 20 minutes later recounted seeing medical staff bathed in an otherworldly glow, sensing unconditional love beyond any spoken words. Another felt reunited with deceased relatives, experiencing joy rather than fear, even as they sensed being between worlds. Classic cases like Pam Reynolds and Eadie have fueled debate. During a brain operation, Pam reportedly perceived surgical details despite being under conditions that should preclude vision, and simultaneously felt herself floating above her body. Critics suggest post-event reconstruction or altered memory might explain some elements, yet supporters point to corroborated details that challenge simple explanations. Eadie's account of tunnel passage, life review, and returning with a renewed sense of purpose also resonates with many. While skeptics highlight potential confabulation or brain-based illusions, The consistency and emotional depth of numerous NDE narratives prompt us to ask, could consciousness access information beyond ordinary sensory channels when the body is incapacitated? Even if we lean toward neurological models, the human element remains powerful. These experiences often transform individuals, reducing fear of death, increasing compassion, and motivating purposeful living. Hearing such accounts encourages us to reconsider death, not as annihilation, but as a threshold that, whether biologically or metaphysically grounded, yields profound personal insight. In exploring these stories, we balance healthy skepticism with openness to the possibility that the mind, or something like it, behaves in ways we are only beginning to understand. Across cultures and spiritual traditions, death is viewed not as final cessation, but as a passage to another state. In Hindu philosophy, the Atman, soul, departs the body and later reincarnates, guided by accumulated karma and intentions. Buddhism speaks of the bardo, an intermediate realm where consciousness encounters luminous phenomena and inner reflections before rebirth. Christian teachings often emphasize resurrection or union with the divine, describing the soul's journey to an afterlife shaped by faith and moral choices. Islam outlines the soul's interim period, awaiting Judgment Day, then transitioning to paradise or a different realm based on deeds. Despite variations, a common thread persists. Consciousness survives bodily death in some form, entering a different mode of existence. Mystical teachings highlight that preparation can begin long before physical death, through meditation, prayer, or contemplative practices. Tibetan Buddhism discusses the clear light experience, a state of pure awareness encountered at death or in deep meditation. Recognizing and stabilizing awareness on this clear light is said to influence the next stage of the journey. Christian contemplatives speak of dying before dying, cultivating inner surrender and love so that when physical death arrives, one meets it with trust. Christian contemplatives speak of dying before dying, cultivating inner surrender and love so that when physical death arrives, one meets it with trust. Many traditions offer rituals, prayers, or guided meditations aimed at easing the transition, suggesting that one's mental and spiritual orientation at the moment of passing can shape the subsequent experience. These perspectives do not always align with materialist explanations, but often intersect in surprising ways. For example, descriptions of luminous environments in NDEs echo accounts of clear light or heavenly realms across traditions. The emphasis on life review parallels moral reflections found in religious teachings about accountability and growth. Even if taken metaphorically, these frameworks encourage living ethically, fostering compassion, and reducing fear of death, found in religious teachings about accountability and growth. Even if taken metaphorically, these frameworks encourage living ethically, fostering compassion, and reducing fear of death. By viewing death as a significant threshold rather than abrupt oblivion, spiritual systems invite a shift in how we live, embracing impermanence, valuing present moments, and cultivating intentions that may carry beyond this life. If death is seen as a transition, preparing for it during life becomes meaningful. One practice is clear light meditation, sitting quietly, focusing on inner sensations of light or awareness, imagining this light permeating the body and extending beyond its boundaries. This trains the mind to remain steady and aware, without clinging to physical form or discursive thoughts. Another exercise is portal visualization. Before sleep, envision several passageways representing possible future paths. By choosing one with intention, for example, compassion, service, wisdom, we practice conscious direction of our own psyche, applicable both in life changes and symbolically at death. Tonglen practice, from Tibetan Buddhism, invites practitioners to inhale the suffering of others into the heart and exhale healing light or compassion outward. This cultivates empathy and dissolves self-centeredness, aligning intentions toward universal well-being. Such compassion-centered orientation may influence one's mental state at the end of life, fostering peace rather than fear. Reflective practices like memento mori, regularly contemplating mortality, help us appreciate each moment and reduce anxiety about death's inevitability. Journaling fears, beliefs, and hopes regarding death can clarify attitudes and ease uncertainty. Scientific studies show that deep meditation and breathwork can evoke states resembling aspects of NDEs, timelessness, unity, and luminous awareness, while the body remains alive and safe. Engaging in these practices allows individuals to sample threshold-like experiences, reducing fear and expanding the sense of what consciousness can hold. Importantly, these exercises are not about chasing dramatic experiences, but about cultivating steady presence, compassion, and curiosity. Over time, they may transform how one relates to life's challenges, interpersonal connections, and the prospect of death itself. Combining scientific observations, first-hand accounts, and spiritual teachings suggests that death may be more than a single terminal moment. It can involve encounters with profound light, deep self-examination, and even choices shaping what comes next. While definitive proof of consciousness surviving physical death remains elusive, the convergence of NDE reports, neural findings, and cross-cultural motifs encourages us to rethink fear-based assumptions. Recognizing death as a possible threshold rather than absolute end invites us to live more fully, with greater compassion, presence, and awareness of impermanence. In everyday life, awareness of mortality can enhance gratitude for each breath and foster meaningful priorities. Try simple practices. Observe your breathing, meditate on inner light, or visualize intentions for change. Approach these exercises with openness and without fear, seeing them as tools to deepen understanding of awareness itself. Discuss these themes with trusted friends or communities, creating supportive spaces to explore questions often left unspoken. What matters most? How do we want to face the end? Such dialogue can shift collective attitudes, reducing isolation around death and inspiring shared growth. Ultimately, if death is not an absolute full stop but a door, then beyond it may lie realities far vaster than our current experience. By exploring aspects of that door here and now, through reflection, practice, and compassionate connection, we begin to familiarize ourselves with possibilities that await. Even if the final mystery remains, the journey of inquiry enriches life itself. May these insights encourage you to embrace each moment, cultivate intentions of light and love, and approach the unknown with both courage and curiosity.